This was the first book that I chose to read when I made my June TBR because I wanted to plan my books and see if that kind of helped me get back into the whole reading mood. And this was the first one that I chose because I thought it was going to be a quick, cute, summery read. And it took me 12 days to read it. I feel kind of bad because my friend who owns a bookstore recommended this to me because her favorite author is Sarah Dessen, and I asked her which one her favorite book was, and this one was it, so I decided to get it and read it, and I didn't like it that much. I'll start off by telling you what it's about. It's called Along for the Ride, and it is about a girl named Auden, which first we're just gonna say, love that name. Good job there on the name choosing part of the story. Auden was always very good at the academic part of life. She was always very good at studying and going to extracurricular academic type things that helped her boost her chances of getting into a good university or college, and she wasn't very good at the social aspect of high school. And this story is about her going to live in a beach town with her dad the summer after she graduates from high school, and about her just kind of her whole life just kind of changing a little bit because she meets friends and she doesn't do any of that extra super academic stuff that she's always been so good at, and she kind of starts to, you know, learn what it's like to have friends and how to treat friends and how friends should treat you, and she kind of starts doing a bunch of things that she missed out on in high school. And I'm sorry if you can hear banging. My boyfriend is renovating the basement. And so that's pretty much what it's about. There's also a guy in it that she meets, and they form a friendship and do a lot of things together, and he helps her through things. There are two main reasons that I didn't like this book that much, and the first one was I thought it was too long. I think if it was 300 pages instead of almost 400, it would have been a much more enjoyable read. I feel like the story wouldn't have seemed so slow, and it wouldn't have seemed so... like, I almost felt like it was kind of empty because there wasn't too much to the story. There's like a few family problems and some issues that arise and stuff like that, but it was all very, like, flat, kind of, and I feel like if it was shorter it wouldn't have seemed so flat because it would have felt a little bit more urgent, and the things that she was doing would have felt a little bit more exciting, and with it being so long and not having too much happen in it, it just felt like it was really dragged out. The other thing that I wasn't a huge fan of was the way that she told the story, really. Almost every single chapter, and sometimes new scene changes within that chapter, start off in the middle of a scene. And it starts off with like a line of dialogue or something that's kind of catchy, I guess. That's like catches your attention and grabs you. And then it would go a little bit further into the scene, and then it would backtrack and describe what happened way earlier on in the day, and to tell me what happened in order to get to that scene, and then it would go back to the middle of the scene and be like, now we're here. And it's like, just start at the beginning. Why do you have to start in the middle and then go back to the beginning and then work your way back to the middle again? Just start at the beginning. And sometimes it threw me off because it would start in the middle and I'd be like, whoa, what? There was even one part when she said something, I'm not going to tell you, it's kind of spoilery, I guess, but she said something that I was like, what? I was like, that never happened. Did I miss something? And I actually went back to the previous chapter and I was like, no, I definitely didn't miss anything. So this thing that she's talking about, like, I feel like this is important. Why wasn't I told? Like, why am I being told now? And then it backtracked and then told me how the thing she's telling the character about happened. And I was like, oh, right, I should have known. And then another way it threw me off was sometimes it would take 2 or 3 pages to do the backstory thing to get up to the middle of the scene, and I would forget that we started in the middle of the scene and we were now backtracking and going back towards the middle of the scene. So when it got back to the middle of the scene, I would be confused because I was like, wait a second, I thought we were there, and then now we're here, and I was like, oh yeah. So those two things were main factors to why I didn't really like this book that much. The other thing was I wasn't totally attached to the characters. I also didn't really like Auden very much. I liked Adam. I think Adam was a good character. Eli was okay, but I feel like he was kind of flat and I feel like he changed really quickly. But I feel like Honestly, I feel like if this book was 300 pages, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I feel like the other things about it that bothered me wouldn't have bothered me so much, because the story would have seemed a little bit quicker, it wouldn't have seemed so draggy, and the other things wouldn't have bothered me as much, also because it wouldn't have been happening for as long. And 400-page books are okay if there's a lot happening and it needs 400 pages, but this did not need 400 pages. Even when I picked it up, I was like, wow, this is kind of thick for a contemporary. And it was, yes. So I'm sorry that I didn't really have anything good to say about this book. It wasn't bad. I didn't think it was, like, terrible or anything like that. It just, it wasn't for me.